And our guest this week is Rich Feltz, who is a farmer from Gumtree County and also the president of the Kansas Farm Bureau, and just wrapping up their meeting in Manhattan. So, Rich, as we look at 2020, we talked a little bit about it. That means those even number years, election years, there's going to be a lot of focus on that and kind of who, if we do some shifting around, but there's still a lot of unfinished business, Rich, and it looks like as we look at 2020, a lot of those things aren't going to get done in 19.
Well, you're exactly right. We're seeing this almost get to an impasse, and as we get into next year, we know it's going to turn even more political. It has been, and it's going to be challenging to get anything accomplished.
Well,
we've got some issues that we know that we'd like to see, and on the federal side, USMCA is almost critical to us, and we keep punting, and we're almost to get our pump blocked, it seems like, at this point.
Well, that China, Japan, all these are ever so close, but it is kind of one of those things where we think we've got a deal. We may have it in the morning. By the afternoon, that has changed, and I would guess the Farm Bureau members are probably like many and are just ready to move forward. Well,
there's no question. There's a lot of frustration around, irregardless of whether you're at across the country, what commodities you're dealing with. We're just ready to see get some action somewhere, and I think a lot of that, though, is as I refer back to the USMCA, I think it has to start there. If you're another country around the world and you acknowledge us as being a trading partner that can't have an agreement with your neighbors, how are we going to be able to fit into that agreement with those folks?
The Economic Research Service at USDA came out and said farm income is going to be higher this year, but over a third of it is coming from insurance proceeds or the MFP payments. While it's good to have those dollars, being able to pay some bills, that's not sustainable.
No, it's not. And we had Micah Taylor here from Extension, K-State Extension, earlier in the week at one of our workshops, and she said what's getting agriculture in trouble is, yes, it's great that we can have some of these additional funding sources, but it's the input cost. As these commodity prices have been flat now for multiple years, we look at the trend line on input cost and they just continue to rise, and we're caught in the middle.
Well, and that is. It's one of those things that many folks say, if we're going to support one way, let's support another. A couple of good things. Maybe the livestock sector, we see some possible breakthroughs there. And one of the good news is that the Holcomb plant's going to be up and operating in just a few days now.
Very true. It's going to be good to get them back in production, and then we look at a little butter scene, the demand with all the issues that China has with the African swine fever and the demise of their pork industry over there, and now we've got the opportunity to move some beef into that country that we haven't had in the past.
Before we let you go, I always like to get what was your theme when you spoke to the membership. You always usually have a good punch moving forward.
Well, my punch this year was that in my presentation you're going to hear a lot about issues, you're going to hear a lot about policy, but it doesn't happen if we don't have relationships. So that was my theme for our group, is relationships with ourselves, but our elected and appointed officials, our commodity groups, but we've got to have strong relationships. And I guess I'll even say maybe the media there as well. So.
Well, could be. Some of us maybe a little friendlier than others. But Rich, again, thanks for your leadership in agriculture, and appreciate it. All the best to Farm Bureau in the year ahead. Thanks.
Well, and thank you for the opportunity to work with you as well.
Thanks. Rich Feltz, the president of the Kansas Farm Bureau, has been our guest. Stay with us. We'll have more coming up.